Hello everyone, I'm Dan Philgreen, and this is Shell Point Today for Monday, January 20th. On today's show, Adrian Kerr tells us about the Spice Islands, where nutmeg and cloves became more valuable than silver or gold. We'll also meet some of the many physicians that visit Shell Point on a daily basis. But first, a reminder that today is Martin Luther King Day, which means all government offices and post offices are closed. But Shell Point still has a full calendar, including an event regarding LifeQuest. Now, many of you attended the LifeQuest Expo last week and might have even visited all 6 areas, covering the 6 dimensions of wellness. But have you made plans for your own MyQuest? You have the chance to improve your wellness, be it physically, spiritually, educationally, and more. Don Boren will share all the details at the LifeQuest Informational Forum today at 1:30 in the Grand Cypress Room. Get started with LifeQuest at this free event. To kickstart your educational component, you have plenty of academy classes to choose from. Tomorrow, you can learn about the history of the Spice Islands, areas of Indonesia that amassed great wealth in the 1500s. Adrian Kerr brings us the history of the Moluccan Spice Islands, tomorrow at 10 a.m. in the Grand Cypress Room. Here's Terry Colath with a preview.
Hi, I'm Terry Colath, and I'm here today with Professor Adrian Kerr. We're talking about the next stop on our tour through Southeast Asia's history, and this time we're going to be doing Moluccan, Spice Island, Larantuka. Thanks for joining me, Adrian.
Always a pleasure, Terry.
Those are some interesting words, Moluccan and Larantuka.
Indeed, and it's on the other side of the world, and probably would not be known to us if it wasn't for their indigenous spice plants. And the story of how spice was discovered and transferred to the West is fascinating. The Portuguese, which were a tiny, tiny country in the west of Spain, they decided they wanted access to the spice of India. So this would be what we call pepper today, and that was the biggest spice. But as they moved further and further east, this tiny maritime nation, pursuing a maritime route to India to control the spice trade, then kept going and made it to what we call the Moluccan Islands today, and Larantuka particularly, because there they discovered a spice which is even more valuable than pepper. It was cloves and nutmeg. And cloves and nutmeg only grew naturally in the 17th century in the Moluccan Islands, which are just south of the Philippines.
How was that? I mean, they stopped at an island. What did they do? Taste the foods and...
There was an Indonesian-Chinese trade at that time. They were trading nutmeg and cloves between China, and were giving silk and porcelain for nutmeg and cloves. So they stumbled upon this secret trade, if you like, going on in the Indonesian archipelago. And so they decided that they want to control that. And since cloves had 2 advantages. One, it flavored meat, which was going off. That's one the advantage of spice, and nutmeg, of course, gives meat a different flavor. And cloves can be used in a concentrated form to reduce pain. In the bad old days, they used when you had a toothache, they'd put oil of cloves on your tooth, and that would remove the pain. So these 2 unique spices were more valuable than silver.
What did they look like?
The cloves, of course, they're all berries, putting it simply. They're berries of bushes or trees. The exception, and the one which is still very popular, is sandalwood. Sandalwood is also unique, almost unique to the Moluccan Islands. And Larantuka, which we're going to talk about, was settled as the center of the sandalwood trade. And sandalwood has the oil in the wood gives it this wonderful scent. And it's used for oils, it's used for changing the fragrances of perfumes, and also it's used for carving furniture and little items. And nowadays, those are the 2 big consumers. And of course, it's spread. India is now the biggest producer of sandalwood. But it's a rather terminal story for the pearl sandalwood tree, because the way in which you harvest sandalwood is instead of rubber or cloves or nutmeg, where you can actually let the plant grow, you actually uproot the whole plant, because the roots and the branches and the trunk is where the sandalwood sandalwood oil is. So in the past, sandalwood has almost become extinct because people have used, just simply ripped out forest and forest of sandalwood, and now the Indonesian government owns all the sandalwood trees, and it's a protected tree, and in India likewise, it's a government protected tree because of and Australia has another sandalwood production centre. But the Indian sandalwood is now the one which is most commonly used for these little figurines that you can get, and it's remarkable. You can get a little wooden effigy which will still smell of sandalwood 20 years later.
It's incredible.
And sandalwood soap is the other big consumer. Yes. Everybody likes sandalwood soap.
So what an amazing situation it must have been, these people coming to take what they could only get there. Yes. What it must have done to the indigenous people.
Indeed, they were the only source of these spices, and the Portuguese controlled it in total. But it wasn't a one-way traffic. The Portuguese brought manufactured items, and they also brought religion. And they brought Catholicism to the islands, and to this day there is a statue of Mary and a statue of Jesus kept in separate churches, and they date back to the Portuguese who brought these statues in from Portugal in the 17th century. And once a year all the villages will proceed to bring these statues out from their churches, where they meet once and they stand together in the centre in another church, and then after the ceremony the statues are taken in great reverence back to their own individual churches and then locked up for another year. And that ceremony is huge in Naratuka, and people will travel around the world to see this devotion to these two statues.
Interesting. Well, again, we're going to get a lot of richness out of your experience with one of these faraway and strange places. So please join Professor Adrian Kerr as he takes us on a tour of Moluccan Spice Island, Naratuka.
We have a couple of musical tidbits for you. All you classical music fans will be thrilled to hear that the Southwest Florida Symphony is performing at Shell Point this Thursday evening. This program focuses on one of the all-time great composers, Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart. This concert includes a multimedia presentation telling the story of how the Jupiter Symphony came to life. Towards the end of his short but brilliant life, Mozart was broke, ignored by his formerly adoring public, and mourning the death of his daughter. It is said that Mozart's final symphony sums up an era. But more than that, it is a glimpse into the intimate life of this childlike genius. The Jupiter Symphony holds the key that unlocks the miracle of Mozart. Experience the sights and sounds of Mozart this Thursday at 7:30 p.m. Get your tickets at either service desk or call our box office at 454-2067. There's another musical opportunity coming up next week, and not only is it free, but you also get gourmet refreshments from Finemark Bank. It's the 2014 Gala Celebration, highlighting Shell Point's history and looking to the future. Not only will there be historical videos and delicious edibles, but you'll also enjoy an a cappella performance by one of the country's most renowned vocal groups, the Voices of Lee, out of Lee University in Tennessee. Once again, the 2014 Gala takes place next Friday, January 31st, with a seating at 2:45 or a seating at 6:45. This formal event is free to attend, but you do need to RSVP by returning the reply card you received in the mail, or by calling the Legacy Foundation at 466-8484. Now we turn our attention to Shell Point Life magazine. This month, we're highlighting all the healthcare services available right here in your community. This includes, on pages 4 and 5, profiles of the physicians on staff at Shell Point. While several joined Shell Point in the 80s or 90s, some of them are relatively new, and you might not have yet gotten a chance to know them firsthand. We interviewed Dr. Claude DeGraff when he joined Shell Point in 2010.
My name is Claude DeGraff. I'm a physician. I'm a family practice physician, and I work at the medical center. I'm replacing Dr. Yaloff, and I also work at times on the hospice floor and in the pavilion. I see the patients there sometimes. I was born in Haiti. I was born in a small town called Saint-Marc, where my mother's from, but I grew up in Port-au-Prince. We were 7 of us, 7 children, and she called each of us by a profession. You know, I was a doctor. My oldest brother was supposed to be an attorney. etc. There was a priest in the family, but so we just followed. Some of us followed that dream. We speak both Creole and French, and English sometimes with my brothers, and that's about it. I learned Spanish living in Mexico, so I'm fluent in Spanish as well. I came to the United States in 1970. We went to New York directly. When I started doing a rotation in medicine, I realized that there was a specialty called family practice, which allows a doctor to do everything, to be a pediatrician, to take care of gynecological problems, deliver babies, and do minor surgery, and do internal medicine. So I took that, and it's very fulfilling, it's very rewarding. Initially, I thought it was going to be a little bit difficult, but they are so pleasant. You know, all the patients are very pleasant, and I worked for hospice for 6 years, so I did the geriatric and end-of-life care. And working here with the patients here, it's really wonderful. I enjoy it so far. And getting their example, because most of the people here are very healthy, you can tell that they've taken care of themselves. They are in good shape for their age. So I asked them, how did you stay in such a good health for so long? It's a good place to work. It's close to home, and it's in my area. I love it.
Our newest physician, Dr. Chien, joined Shell Point in 2012. We learned a little bit about her background.
Well, I was born in Taiwan and came to the U.S. when I was very young and grew up in Kansas City before moving to Florida in 1985. So I had a choice between the School of Medicine, the School of Pharmacy, and the School of Law. And I was very quiet and shy, so being an attorney, I would not be able to make it in that field. And I couldn't see a lifetime of standing behind the counter, so therefore I applied to School of Medicine. And that's how I got in there. Well, I kind of divided my career into 3 10-year blocks. The first 10 years would be primarily in internal medicine and primary care. And my second 10-year block, I did urgent care before urgent care was even widely accepted, and certainly wasn't on any insurance plan. It was strictly, people who needed care and couldn't get appointments, they came in and we took care of them. We took care of some of the Tampa Bay Bucks. We took care of the high-priced attorneys in Tampa Bay, and we took care of everybody on the evening news. In my last 10 years, I've been in hospice, and started out with Hope Hospice about 11 and a half years ago, and have been up and down the west coast of Florida working for different hospices. I remember Shell Point from 10, 11 years ago when I worked with Hope Hospice, and the change in Shell Point has been dramatic. I remember when everything was pre-renovation, and of course my memory of Shell Point is from that time, and when I came over here and looked at the progress, it was just amazing. It's beautiful. The people are wonderful. The residents are wonderful. The staff is friendly, helpful. The residents are all, amazing. I see a lot of people who are doing so well in their late 80s, 90s, even a couple of people pushing 100. It's just amazing. When I do hospice, I usually see people at the tail end of their disease process. So to see healthy adults who are doing well, functioning well, walking well, thinking well, eating well, that's just amazing to me. I approach patients really with the idea that I want to establish a plan of care using the patient's viewpoint. And it shouldn't be physician-directed care, it should be patient-directed care. So it's important to me to be able to make a plan with the patient and establish a plan of care that's really achievable. So that's really my main focus now.
Not only does Shell Point enjoy its own staff of physicians, but we host many specialty physicians who visit Shell Point throughout the week. All this week on Shell Point TV, we will be profiling those specialty physicians, starting with podiatrist Ichi, who visits the Arbor Medical Center on Wednesdays and Thursdays.
I did my podiatry school at Barry University, And then I did my 3-year surgical residency at Palmetto General Hospital, which is in Hialeah, Florida. During residency, I was able to take part in surgical mission trips to Dominican Republic mainly. And what we do is we do surgery for like 2 days there straight. My last trip I went there, we did 38 surgeries in 2 days. I'm currently practicing in the foot and ankle care of the island coast. We have 2 locations, one in off of McGregor in Fort Myers, and the other one is off of Del Prado in Cape Coral, and also starting to see patients here in Shell Point. I can do the full scope of podiatry from fungus nails to major reconstructive surgery of the foot and ankle. Any types of pain, if you sprain your ankle, anything, skin lesions that you may have, anything in the foot or ankle. And I'll also do routine foot care. I see from primary medicine, of podiatry primary medicine, to trauma and reconstruction of the foot and ankle. Nail fungus is the most commonly seen here. There's lots of ways to treat it. There is surgical debridement of it. That's normally what we do here. We just debridement of nails. And then there are topical ways that I can prescribe medication to be applied. And there is also a oral medication that you can take also. The Arbor Medical Center, I see patients on Wednesdays and Thursdays. In the morning on Wednesdays from 9 to 12, and Thursday from 1 o'clock till 4. So if you have any needs, pain in your feet, anything dealing with your feet or ankle, just give me a call and we'll set up an appointment and we'll see you.
Stay tuned all this week as we profile the many specialty physicians, dentists, chiropractors, physical therapists, and others who visit Shell Point on a daily basis. But for now, let's get a preview of this week's Channel 13 radio program, Listening to the Words.
This week's Encore performance of Listening to the Words is packed with interesting people and their creative ways of living. We begin with an early Punta Gorda visionary and horticulturalist who attracted renowned experts to her impressive garden. Then Amy Williams takes us back to a time when she remembers the insect buzz rising like green sonic steam over the fields. You will laugh quietly at what happened to a cake baked for a Baptist church ladies group. A 5-year-old puts his own spin on the words of the 23rd Psalm. Bask in author John Updike's descriptions, including days that began with the sun glazed like a lake of mercury beneath the pearly dawn. Let your taste buds come into play at the quenching history of America's soda fountains, when soda jerks created all sorts of exotic, lip-smacking sensations. David Howenstein inviting you to drink it all in any day this week by tuning to your Shell Point Channel 13.
Hello everyone, it is Monday, January 20th, and it is also Martin Luther King Jr. Day. I'm Leslie Brand, and I'm here with Bev Chanley, and we are here to tell you about today's activities. We're going to start early at 8 o'clock with the mobile mammography at the Village Church on the island. 9 o'clock is men's match play doubles tennis at the tennis courts. 9:15 we have billiards at the Resident Activity Center. Also at 9:15 is pottery, and the instruction is available in the pottery studio. And lastly at 9:15 is the virtual bowling in the Resident Activity Center. 10 o'clock, the Susie Q is going out to Matanzas for lunch. Sign up is required. At 10:30 is the Disciple Men's Bible Study Group in the game room at the Woodlands. 10:45 is the Table Tennis Clinic and the Tarpon Room. 11:30 we have the Health Connection Specifics and Strength Training at the Health Club on the island, but that class is currently full. And now here's Bev to tell everyone about the afternoon activities.
Thank you, Leslie. We're going to start at 12 o'clock. We'll have Mahjong being played in the Sable Room. That's down at the Woodlands. Then we move to 1:15, where Scrabble will be played in the Library Lounge. Also at 1:15, we have table tennis. They play that in the Tarpon Room on the island. Our last 1:15 activity is tone chimes. They practice in the Osprey Room. At 1:30, we have a Life Quest informational forum that'll be held in the Grand Cypress Room at the Woodlands. At 1:30 until 3:30, we have tours of the Model Train Room. Head on down to the tunnel. At 1:45, we have a Health Connections class, Balance and Mobility Training Level 1 in the Health Club. That's currently full. At 2 o'clock, it's time for the Beady-Eyed Bead Club. They meet in the Oak Room of the Woodlands. At 3 o'clock, we have another Health Connections class. This is Pilates Stretch. That'll be in the Health Club. 3:15, the Shell Point Singers will be having their rehearsal at the choir room of the Village Church. At 6 o'clock, we have the Global Impact Week dinner. That'll be held at the Village Church. And then at 6:30, our last activity is Duplicate Bridge. That'll be in the game room of the Woodlands. Well, thank you so much for being with us here today, and we will come back tomorrow and do the same thing.
Hi, I'm Terry Kolath with your Academy information for Monday, January 20th. At 9:30, Computer College Prep School, The Basics, continues at the Computer Center in the Woodlands. At 10:15, HD TV, Possibilities with the iPad, will begin in the Manatee Room on the island, and sign-up is required. At 10:30, the Anatomy of Words continues in the Oak Room of the Woodlands, and all are welcome. I'd like to tell you about a couple new classes coming tomorrow. How to use and be productive with Gmail, taught by Jim Plummer of Parkwood. An Apple iPad, got one? Now what? Taught by Penny Modridge of Nautilus and Bruce Findlay of Sundial. And then we have The Tale of Two Cities with Phil Gannon of Rosemont. And printing from your tablet, again, Penny Modridge and Bruce Findlay.
Menus for Monday. In the Crystal Room, the Crystal Platter is braised pork with candied sweet potatoes and asparagus. The dinner special is home cooking night for $9.95, and the soup of the day is vegetarian chili. In the Island Cafe for lunch on Monday, enjoy a teriyaki chicken sandwich with pineapple and french fries for $7.25. The dinner special is grilled chicken with fresh greens and fresh berries for $8.25, and the Palm Grill is closed on Mondays. All menus are available 24 hours a day at www.shellpoint.net.
Hi, welcome to Village Church Connections. I'm Andy Hawkins, the senior pastor of the Village Church, and I'm here with Glenda Stephenson, who's our church administrator and also our missions chairperson for our missions committee. And we're in the middle of the most exciting week, or the beginning of the most exciting week, I think, of the entire year. It's called Global Impact Week. Tell us a little bit about the essence of the week in a nutshell, and then we'll talk a little bit more about what's going on tonight.
We got off to a great start yesterday. John Corby spoke in the morning and Teresa Bill in the evening. We have guests that are going to be representing a number of different areas in the world. John Corby worked in the Middle East and in Europe. He worked in Africa. Teresa Bill's been in Africa. Jack and Diana in North and Central Asia, Betty Constance in South America. So we're getting a good global.
Anybody from Antarctica?
Not yet.
No missionaries to the penguins, right? Yeah, well, we pretty much have everything else covered then, don't we? Almost. Maybe not all East Asia, but some parts of Asia.
It's probably the most diverse group that we've had for Global Impact Week, so I'm thrilled with that.
That's really exciting. Now, this evening we have a banquet, right? Do. And I think one of the reasons for a banquet is that we're always celebrating, I think, in Global Impact Week, because there's a lot to celebrate. We see every year wonderfully encouraging things that God is doing all across the globe, and so I think it's appropriate that we have a celebratory kind of event like a banquet each year, and we do this time as well. So tell us a little bit about what the banquet's about and who's going to be speaking and what special events are going on tonight.
Happy to. The doors open at 5:30. Dinner starts at 6 o'clock. It's a wonderful menu. We've got some appetizers, we've got salad, we've got a chicken entree that I've tasted and it's very good, and some dessert options for everybody. So a very lovely meal. Tickets are required for that portion of the evening because seating is limited. But we encourage folks, if they have not gotten tickets yet and would like to attend tonight, please call the church office, because we usually have a few cancellations along the way when somebody gets sick or something happens, and we don't want to waste any of those meals. We'd love to have them used. So please call the church office and check on that if you would like to attend but haven't gotten tickets.
Now, if they don't come to the banquet per se, can they still come to the program part of things?
They can, and we'll get the service started at about 7:15. And we always encourage folks, if you really don't want to participate in the meal but you want to be in the service, please feel free to come prior to that 7:15 time and join us.
Great. That's exciting. And what else is happening? Who's speaking in the evening and that kind of thing?
John Corby will be speaking again. He spoke yesterday morning, and he will be speaking again at the banquet. We do have a special treat. Our men's quartet has not been together for over a year now, and they are back together. They will be singing tonight at the banquet. So
back by popular demand.
Absolutely,
of course. That's great.
And so we're looking forward to that. And there'll just be a few other things as part of the program tonight. It should be a very special time together.
A few surprises, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Okay, that's great. Well, this will be my first banquet here at the Village Church, although obviously we've done some similar things at the prior church where I was. But I'm always excited to participate in something that celebrates what God is doing all across the globe. In fact, the scriptures talk about the fact that the gospel will spread as the waters cover the seas, and it's a great opportunity to just simply celebrate what God is doing and encouraging us to be essentially on the mission that God's on in communicating the love of Jesus to people all across the globe. So I'm looking forward to that, and I know we all are. So thank you for joining us for Village Church Connections, and we hope to see you this evening as well as at other of the events that are taking place during this Global Impact Week. Good day, and God bless you.
We're glad you joined us for today's show. Tune in tomorrow as we meet the dentist who has been serving Shell Point residents for more than 20 years. We'll also get the recipe for chicken en papilote, which basically is just chicken in a pocket. Until then, this is Shell Point Today for Monday, January 20th. I'm Dan Philgreen, and from all of us here at Shell Point TV, we hope you have a great day, and we'll see you again tomorrow.